All right, we'd like to introduce right behind me on the turntables from Zakia Records, known as the Wizard of the Gimmicks. You're gonna see it all tonight. Prepare for a good show from Brooklyn's in the house and Cutmaster DC.
Brooklyn's in the house.
The podcast that uplifts the DJ culture and honors our legends. Vinyl Esquire with DJ Rip.
Brooklyn's in the
You're
house.
now listening to Vinyl Esquire. Culture, truth, music. Check out www.vinylesquire.com, at Vinyl Esquire, on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Vinyl Esquire.
Well, I made one record all about my town. Now everybody else wants to be down. Well, I'ma tell you it's cool, nothing wrong with that. But before you start bragging, remember one
Vinyl
fact.
Brooklyn's in the
Esquire.
house.
Well, I go by the name of Cutmaster DC, and I have a rap about reality. Now I'm talking about Brooklyn causing much controversy. What we say and the beat he rocks. Cutmaster DC.
Vinyl Esquire. Vinyl Esquire.
Well, I'm the Cutmaster that they call DC, and anytime I rock the boat, I fly like
Hello world, I want to welcome you to Vinyl Esquire, the podcast that delivers culture, truth, music. Would you join me, please, in welcoming DJ Rip?
Hello world, I want to welcome you to Vinyl Esquire, and Vinyl Esquire is the DJ podcast that uplifts the DJ culture and honors our legends. And without further ado, I would like to welcome to Vinyl Esquire, the legendary DJ, artist, and turntablist from Brooklyn. I would like to welcome to Vinyl Esquire, the legendary Cutmaster DC.
Thank you. How you doing, my man? How's everything?
I'm good, man. Cutmaster DC, how you doing today?
I feel great.
Wonderful.
Great.
I want to thank you for allowing me to interview you for Vinyl Esquire. It's an honor. I want to be able to peel back the layers and dig into Cutmaster DC's history. Is that okay with you?
Of course, no problem. I
Okay.
look forward to it.
All right, perfect. Let's take it all the way back to the beginning, okay? So,
Okay.
Cutmaster DC, can you tell me who or what made you want to be a DJ?
Actually, my love for music, to tell you the truth, my love for music. I've been digging into my grandmother's records, 45s from young. Like, we're talking 5 and 6 years old, I really love music, and I got introduced to DJing back in 1977 when I kind of started. That was my first interest in actually doing it. When I went to college, ironically, the only job that I was able to actually get because of my scheduling was at this club called, which is in Miami, Florida, was this club called Big Daddy's Lounge. It was part of a whole group of, clubs that they had out there under Flanagan's nightclub, but it was called Big Daddy's Lounge, which was about a mile away from the campus. And so I wind up being from New York. They love people from New York, so it's like I actually was able to get the gig almost based on the fact that I was from New York. And I kind of fell in love with it from that point on. So when I came back from spring break and, came back home and what have you, that's when I really started pursuing it. This was around the latter part of 1977.
So you would say you started DJing in 77. You said you went to college. So where did you go?
I went to a small college in Florida called Opelika. It was in Opelika, Florida. It's called Florida Memorial College, FMC University. And then I transferred to U of M. And then I came back. I was supposed to transfer to NYU to finish up, but I wind up actually getting into music, and the rest is history.
Got you. So you would say you started in 1977. So
DJing-wise.
DJing.
Yeah.
So what was your first DJ name?
My first DJ name was, actually, ironically, I didn't put the cut onto it because it's interesting. Master DC, that was my name. But I wasn't known as a DJ until much later. Reason being, I wasn't able to afford the speakers and the sound system, which would allow me to go out and actually play. The only thing I was able to purchase was turntables and a little mixer. So people did not know for a long time that I was a DJ. People's first experience of me actually came from me emceeing for a crew that was, used to play a lot in in the park on my block, which is called the Claflin Avenue Crew. So I actually started, people started knowing me more as an MC than a DJ. I didn't put the cut. I didn't put the cut onto Master DC because people knew me as Master DC. I didn't put the cut in front of it until later because people was referring me to an MC, and I wanted them to know that I was a DJ first. I'm a DJ, not an MC. So that's why I put the cut on the Master DC.
Got you. So did you have any inspirations as a DJ? Was there anyone already doing it? You know, I mean, you're from Brooklyn, and I want to talk to you about your beginnings and all of that.
Okay.
But was there any particular DJ that inspired you at the time?
This wasn't until later. I can't say anybody in specific in the beginning, other than just the whole idea of DJing. You know what I mean? So I can't say. You know, I just like the whole idea of DJing. Or maybe if I do have to say somebody, I can't even say that because it started off as being a gig for me, and back when I was going to college, and I had liked it. You know what I'm saying? So
right.
that right there, I got into it just because of that, and then as me watching other DJs play, that just reinforced my motivation to become a DJ. But what I would say is that the first DJs that actually influenced me, because I was already self-motivated, to DJ regardless. I did my little thing, upstairs in my bedroom and just practice like pretty much all day, every day. But I could say the first DJs to influence me was actually from Queens. It was two brothers that was from Queens. Their name was Robert and Reggie, the Disco Twins.
Right.
Though watching them play and the things that they did, to me, I was like, oh, these brothers are nice. And what was ironic is that there was two brothers. They used to do little different tricks and, things of that nature. And there are two of them, and I used to try to mimic what they did as one person. So that made it extra. Yeah. So, but their style of play and what they did was, I could say that was influential. Even also, we had another DJ, rest in peace, who used to be called Master D, and he later changed his name to DJ Lance.
Yes, sir.
Later on down in his career. I could say that, I also enjoyed, his flavor, his style of playing and listening to him. So I could actually say that. And one other influence of mine, too, but from a different aspect, was Grandmaster Flowers, because I played with him a lot. And he was like a genius with it, in terms of all the technical stuff.
Right.
You know what I mean? As far as, records, how records sound or why this record sound this way and equipment. And, just like I don't think I can describe him as being a genius. He took it to a scientific level. He was a scientist with his DJing. Not just being able to play, but he was literally scientific.
Got you.
Being able to play. And it was actually an honor of mine to be able to have the ability to actually, or be able to play with him, for a few years.
Got it. Okay. So you had some inspiration from the Disco Twins, that's Queens, and then
Disco Twins from Queens and Grandmaster Flowers. Those are my two biggest.
Got you.
Those two, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Disco Twins and Grandmaster Flowers.
Got it. Disco Twins, Grandmaster Flowers. Okay, you're from Brooklyn. Let's talk about your beginnings in Brooklyn. You said no one really knew you as a DJ. They knew you more as an MC. You were Master DC before you became Cutmaster DC, right? So talk to me.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. Talk to me about your beginnings in the late 70s. In Brooklyn, as a DJ and for music. Talk to me about your beginnings.
As a DJ and music, you said? When you say music, what do you mean?
Well, I'm saying, what was your beginnings, as a DJ playing music? You said you were an MC as well. Talk to me about, how you got into this, because you made a record in 1979, and we're going to get to the record. But there was clearly something happening in the late 70s for you in Brooklyn that took you from, MC, DJ to then making records. What was that? You see what I'm saying?
Yes, I do. What actually happened, a lot of this came from when I was in college, because also during the time that I was in school, that's when the Sugar Hill Gang came out with Rapper's Delight.
Right.
So that's what inspired me to actually make a record. I'm like, oh wow, they putting these on records. They used to have contests all over the place, even in Florida. Even when I went to school, like they had little rap contests and what have you. So I participated in all of them. That one, Harlem World, the one they had at Harlem World back in the early '80s. Then the Tin Pan Apple one they had that Charles Stetler had spearheaded, that wind up landing the Fat Boys their contract.
Mm-hmm.
So I was doing that just mainly because that's what was going on as far as records was concerned. But the problem with what happened with my DJing is because, like I said, I couldn't afford I didn't have the budget to buy the big speakers and what have you. And back then, people were not going to let you on their set if they don't know you to be a DJ. You know what I'm saying? It was very rare that they'll let you on their set, whether because they feel that, you're going to break something or whatever the case may be. I was pretty much what they would call a bedroom DJ for a long time. It wasn't until way after, I would say almost when I moved from Brooklyn into Harlem, and there was when I moved from Brooklyn into East Harlem with with Shirley, my Hakeem, my middle son's mom.
Okay.
She stayed up she was in East Harlem, and I lived out there. And there was a young brother by the name Mo Black. He's from Carver Project. And I forgot exactly how we met, but he came to my house. And when he came to my house, he saw, my setup, my DJing, my records, all the tons of records that I had and what have you. And when I started demonstrating to him, my playing skills and what have you, he literally took me all over East Harlem to battle other DJs. And that's where I got my reputation at. It wasn't actually in Brooklyn as a DJ. It was actually in East Harlem. And that's how I met DJ Red Alert. He actually met me battling a couple people and roasting and just destroying them.
Wow. So I'm assuming that's when you added the cut to the Master DC name.
Oh,
yes?
No. I added the cut to the Master DC name before that. I added that. I went into Harlem about 1980, 81. The cut came I would say about towards the end of 1979. Like around 80, I added the cut.
Okay,
I
gotcha.
added the cut.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you said you started rhyming. There was obviously some motivation with the rhyming. Just give me a quick, snapshot of why you started rapping to begin with.
Okay. Well, actually, I've been writing poetry since I was literally 7 years old. Literally, no exaggeration. I had 2 of my poems published in my public school, one on my brother, one on my mom. And the transition wasn't that hard to go from rapping to rhyming. And it was a brother by the name of Alfago Page from the Bronx, who I actually met while I was traveling Manhattan. I actually met him in college because I knew him from, there used to be this center called the Door of Opportunity, but we used to call it the Door for short. It was a center for youth that they can go and hang out and, involved in different activities. And I met him there. And then I saw him again in Miami at the college that I went to. So, of course, knowing him and, being from New York and we know each other, we kind of bonded. And he was the one that actually taught me how to rhyme, how to turn my poetry into rhythm, so that it would be a rhyme. So he's the one that started me doing that. And I started rhyming just because of the record, that Sugar Hill Gang record that came out. So I was kind of like, that was kind of cool to me. And I was like, oh man, how do you, and so he taught me. So that's what got me started rhyming, just for the sake of it. It was holding contests, for little, cash prizes or whatever. It wasn't nothing serious. It was just something to do.
Right.
Now, when I started taking it serious, when I saw the amount of records and some of the money that people was, making in the shows and what have you from it, that's when I started taking it serious as far as the rhyming aspect. And then I started looking for labels to actually, rhyme, to actually, put out a record on.
Right. So that leads me to my next question. So 1979, right? Well,
Yes.
This whole thing, I mean, you're talking about DJing 77, rhyming late 70s, hip hop wasn't even but about 5-6 years old at this point, right? And not even, it's not even called hip hop at this point. It's really what's happening.
No, not at all.
Right. It's what's happening in the parks, in the Bronx.
Exactly.
Right.
In the Bronx, well, all over. Yeah, the Bronx,
Right.
Queens, Brooklyn, wherever. Yeah, exactly.
Harlem, right. Okay, so now.
In Harlem, of course.
1979 is the explosion for, well, I don't even want to say an explosion, but it's the breakout moment for rap music or hip hop to be on wax, right? Sugar Hill comes out, Rapper's Delight by the Sugar Hill Gang comes out of 79. You got Super Rapping, Grandmaster Flash and the Furious 5.
Yeah.
You got Lady B to the Beat, y'all. You got Spoonie G,
Right.
Spoonie's Rap. You got Sequence, Funk You Up. You get the opportunity to put out a record called Funk Rap on Heavenly Star Records in 1979.
Yeah.
Tell me how it happened.
Well, actually, just me going around, looking, I guess you could say, like, just traveling, trying to find, just little labels. And not all of them had their address on there. And I just happened, it actually, if I can remember correctly, I stumbled on that spot thinking it was a record shop. And what I saw was records, but it was actually their records.
Okay.
Yeah, and when I went inside and, I was inquiring about the record, that's how I found out that was actually a label. And so I started rhyming for the guy, whoever that guy was there. It wasn't actually Peter Brown. I didn't rhyme for him until later. But I started rhyming, and he wanted to introduce me to the label owner, the owner of the label. And I don't know how long ago, I think maybe about like a week or so later, they took me into the studio, and I recorded it. If I'm not mistaken, I think it was Opal Studios. It was right above Studio 54. It was an actual recording studio. Not too many people know that, but right above Studio 54 called Opal Studio, Opal Recordings or something like that. And so it was like 6 or 7 of us in there. And it was like they put on a beat, rhyme to it, they put on the beat, rhyme to it. I mean, each of the artists rhyme to it. Then I guess they do what they do with it. Then, because I wasn't into, any type of production or the makings of all that stuff. I just went in there, rhymed. I had a young lady that I wrote the rap for. She came in, she rhymed with me. And that was pretty much it for the record. Yeah, wow. It was called Funk Rap. And I used, and they spelled my name wrong. That's another thing that kind of pissed me off, because my name is Hakim. And they put it Ikim, I-K-I-M. And the young lady name was Bacardi. So it's Ikim and Bacardi. But that was my first recording.
So, okay, so let me get this straight. You were Master DC or Cutmaster DC at this time. Why didn't you go by that name instead of...
No, I wasn't Cutmaster. I wasn't Cutmaster DC at that time.
Okay, got you.
I wasn't Cutmaster DC at that time.
Okay.
And as far as the Master DC, to be honest with you, I'm not sure if I even did the Master DC at that time either, because I probably would have used that as well. I don't think the Master DC didn't come until maybe a little bit later, maybe maybe about 4 or 5 months later. I'm not sure, to be perfectly honest with you. I'm not sure. That's a good question. I don't know. I can't tell you why I didn't use Master DC. I know I wouldn't have used Cutmaster DC because I didn't even think of putting the cut onto it just yet.
Right, got you. Okay.
Yeah.
So 79, you had the opportunity to make a record called Funk Rap by the name Hakim, right?
Mm-hmm.
Got you.
Hakim and Bacardi.
Hakim and Bacardi. Funk Rap.
Right.
So 1979, you were a part of that breakout wave of all these records coming out for the first time. And that was on Heavenly Star Records, Funk Rap, right?
Correct.
Okay. So you get an opportunity a few years later to make a song called That's Life on Airport Records in 1983. Now, you were Cutmaster DC at this time, right?
By that time I was Cutmaster. Yeah.
Okay.
By that time I already did that whole transition. Okay,
gotcha. Okay, so tell me what happened between Funk Rap in 1979 and That's Life in 1983. What happened in these 2 to 3 years, and how did you get the second opportunity to put out another single?
Okay. Well, a lot of growth in terms of my MCing, in terms of my DJing, and obviously I, had to cut onto the name. By then, also, like I said, I was already going around playing in parks, battling DJs, and just improving my skills as far as the DJ is concerned. And that's what led me to actually add the cut onto Master BC, was so that people, would actually recognize me as, a DJ first, opposed to an MC. So that's when that came into play. Doing a lot of writing, because I still like to rhyme. I still like to rhyme. It was fun, but I always put my DJ first. Now, what happened with how I wind up getting that record deal was, it was funny. It was ironic because I went in that particular building looking for another label, and I ran into a young lady. I think she was the secretary at the time of GMI Records, which is a parent to
Airport Records.
Airport Records, yeah, Airport Records.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started saying a rhyme to her, actually, in the elevator. And she says, you mind me introducing you to Lonnie Johnson? And he's the president, I think, the president of Scorp GMI Records. So I was like, no, but that was not what she said to me. But and I was like, who is he? She says, no, that's my boss. He has a record label. I'm sure he'd be interested in hearing you. So I auditioned for him, and he signed it right there.
Wow. So did you get any money for any of these records? So far, this is your second opportunity to make a record. Did you make any money? Did it give you any advance, or how did it work? Or did you just cut the record?
There wasn't during them days. I don't know of any label. There might have been maybe some of the bigger labels. Maybe Sugar Hill might have done it.
Right.
Three records that got involved with the lady might have done it in terms of advance. But as far as the smaller labels is concerned, no, there was no advance on either. In any one of these situations, where there's an advance. It was really, to tell you the truth. Well, from my perspective, it was just like, the whole idea, of being able to just, make a record. We was, that was like, oh wow, making a record. So the money wasn't even thought of. There were, I'm sure there are other artists who definitely was very, business minded and did it the right way, or did it the way it was supposed to. But I wasn't one of them artists, unfortunately. I was just doing it just to be.
Okay. Well, at this point it's 1983, so we're getting we got Planet Rock and Africa Bambaataa, and there's a lot of records out now at this point. Run DMC hits the scene, you know what I mean? And it's Wild Style, is getting ready to come out. Style Wars, the documentary. It's like it's full blown hip hop now at this point. Right. Okay. Right. So 83, you make the record That's Life on Airport Records. Okay. So you hadn't gotten into producing your own records yet at this point, correct?
I'm on my way.
Okay.
And I'm on my way. And I say on my way, it's like I'm knocking on the door towards the tail end of 83. And it's funny you should mention Run DMC, was because it was that record, Stuck at MCs, is what made me actually do it. And I'll explain. Unfortunately, in my opinion, a lot of the labels that spawned from other labels, a concept of actually putting out a label, because there was almost as much labels as there were MCs. Everybody was, trying to have their own record label to make rap records, because it wasn't that hard to do.
Right.
What I mean? The artists, it was almost a dime a dozen, so, but the thing was, none of them knew music in terms of what will, what will hit.
Right. What would
sell.
sell.
Who were producing the record.
Yeah.
Right. Who would sell, what people would want to listen to. And me being a DJ, I knew when Stuck at MCs came out, my attitude was I had to compete with that, because that was the record. That was, to me, one of the best records as far as street-wise, rap-wise, all the way around the board. That was the record. You know what I mean? That you would have to compete with. And I wanted my music, I wanted the beat to compete with Stuck at MCs. And obviously, no, it didn't. It's not even close. And they don't, unfortunately, we're also talking about in an era that unless you are, already an established artist, producer, per se, they're not going to listen to you. You know what I mean?
Right.
You're lucky you would be in here making a record. So, sit back, we finish the beat, you go and rhyme. So I got tired of that. And I got tired of it to the extent where I'm deciding now I'm going to make my own beat. So there was a young brother by the name of J.P. Edmond. He also used to manage Salt and Pepper back in the day. He was one of the kids on the block, did well, family did well, bought him, like a nice little setup. Just, when I say setup, I mean like he had studio beats and everything.
Okay.
He had a DMX drum machine. He taught me how to program the DMX drum machine. And that's where my production started. I did my first beat that I ever made on that drum machine, which later became, the actual beat later became You Don't Really Want to Battle.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So my thirst to produce came from getting whack beat from people who have no clue of how to make a rap record. So that's where it came from. And the other ironic part about it too, I went the Prince route. Now, then I didn't know the history of Prince, but knowing the history of Prince, I went the Prince route where I refused to sign with any label unless they let me produce my own cut. I turned down a deal with West End Records, I turned down a deal with Vanguard Records, and I turned down a deal with Sleeping Bag Records. Sleeping Bag was the only one that I wish I didn't turn down.
Okay.
But I turned it down because Mantronic was the one that was doing, the beats for it. Not because he was doing it, but because they wanted him to do it opposed to let me do it. Because I didn't know Mantronic at that time, but I didn't care who he was.
Right,
right.
Yeah, because, Mantronics is a phenomenal producer, but at that time...
Yeah, but I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Right, he was new, absolutely, because we're talking 83, 84, 85. Okay, so you turned down these deals, and you got the deals. Would you say you got the deal offers because of your record, That's Life, in 1983? No, I
didn't get no deal offers.
Well, said...
I don't know if anybody knew of that record. No, what I'm saying is I went to the label.
Okay.
I literally walked. I did... See, this is back then. If somebody don't walk you in, you get into it. I literally looked on West End Records, found the address, and literally took my little demo and walked in.
Okay, so you
and whoever would see me, I would go in, have my tape. If they listened, and the guy, whoever it was that was there, was we talked and everything. And he was willing, I guess, he was like saying, I like your material, I would like to take you in, blah, blah, blah. I don't remember exactly what the conversation is verbatim, but I would assume that he was willing to sign me because of what I could remember. And when he said that, about somebody else producing my record, I never came back. Same thing with Vanguard Records.
Gotcha.
I never came back. And with Sleeping Bag, they was very interesting. But again, Mantronics was the man there. And I didn't know Mantronics. I didn't know Mantronics was anywhere near as talented of a producer as he was. So I would have had no problems with it. You understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So, but unfortunately I didn't. So I opted out of that. Then the reason why I went to Zakia Records, which was the label I wound up going, was two reasons. So how I wound up there was because there was a record label, there was a record out called Roxanne's Revenge.
Yes.
By Dr. Fresh. And I saw not so much the label, but it was the man's name on the label, which was Bernard Thomas, who was the VP or associate president of the label that I was on in 1979, which was Sounds of New York. That's what that record label came from. That Heavenly Star Records was another label under Sounds of New York, because that was the main label.
Got you.
And I saw his name, so I figured, maybe I can get grandfathered in through him. Because he always said that, he'll give me another opportunity, because he saw the expression on my face when I was in the studio rhyming, and I didn't like the beat. But I did it anyway because I wanted to make a record. So when I saw his name, I went up there to speak to him particularly, but he wasn't there, and actually wound up speaking to the president.
Okay. So here we are, 1985. 1985, there's a record that you dropped. So it's a lot of things going on here, because there's a Santa's beatbox, there's a Christmas song on here.
Well, that's not the first record though.
Okay.
The first record I dropped on Zakia was You Don't Really Want to Battle.
Okay. So talk to me about You Don't Really Want to Battle.
You Don't Really Want to Battle, like I said, I did that record in 1984. The beginning of 1984, thanks to a friend of mine by the name of J.P. Edmond, and he, showing me how to do beats on the drum machine. And I brought a demo to Zakia Records, and made about, I did a little pause tape demo, about maybe 6 songs, and then a few other songs, and they signed me. And the reason why I signed with them, because he actually literally allowed me to do the production, the music. And he even gave me a shot at picking the studio to work out of. But again, I don't know. Mm-hmm. So the studio I went to was, wasn't all that. So I wind up going to Unique Studios to do the record. As a matter of fact, I think it was, I'm not even going to mention the engineer's name because I got a problem with that too. But I was taken into the studio to do that record at Unique Studios. And the only problem that happened there was that the engineer had his own idea of what my record would sound like, which I did not appreciate because as far as I was concerned, he messed up my record because that's not what I wanted to sound like.
Okay.
He puts so that's what got me later on actually engineering.
Very nice.
Going into the studio myself. Yeah, and going into the studio myself. Doing my own joint, doing everything myself, So
gotcha.
That was it.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
So 84, you don't really want to battle is the record, right? Okay.
No, 85. No, 85.
85?
No, 85.
Okay.
No, 84 is when I actually did the beat.
Okay, gotcha.
At my friend's house. I did that in 84, the beginning of 84, somewhere around there. But then now I'm shopping. I'm shopping myself. I'm trying to find labels. I walk into, not Colony Records. Oh boy, Stan, what is the name of this record company, record store? I forgot the name of the record store, but anyway, it was a popular record store in the city. And it was a dude named by the name of Stan, rest in peace. He was a really great dude. But I forgot the name of the store, but it's not that important right now. But that's where I saw Zakia record label. And that's what led me to Zakia. It was Bernard Thomas, going up there to see him, and I wind up seeing Robert Hill. So I went in the studio. Yeah, so I did. You Don't Really Want to Battle first in 85. That was towards like around maybe February, March of 85.
Okay.
I did that record. Did pretty good. It wasn't bad. It wasn't a bad record. It did pretty good. And then now is close to Christmas now. It's like it's around August, around that time, August, September. And around August, I would say August. And they wanted me to go in and do a Christmas song, which was called The Night Before Christmas. I called it, The Night Before Christmas is what I call it, but they wanted me to do a Christmas song. And they wanted me to do another song with that so that it won't be just a novelty record where they only put it out during Christmas, that they could sell it past the Christmas, season.
Right.
And that's how the second record came into play, which was Brooklyn's in the House, which is a whole nother story.
Right. Okay. So now stop. All right. So we got a Christmas record. You got Santa's Beatbox. So
no, Santa's Beatbox is on the second record. That's another record.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, hold on. All right, cool. So we'll get back to that one. Okay.
Right,
I guess the point is that you were beatboxing, rapping, and DJing eventually, right? Because you did the beatbox too on this record I'm talking about, right?
No, Santa's Beatbox. I called it Santa's Beatbox because you remember the Art of Noise?
Yes.
Okay. Love the Art of Noise. And they had a joint called Beatbox.
Oh, right. Yes.
Okay. That I was able to. By that time, I had a whole production studio myself, like about 8 or 9 drum machines.
Gotcha.
Anybody who's been to my house during that era, they will tell you that I was crazy with it. But this one particular drum machine I bought because the DMX, you couldn't get it anymore. It was the DX drum machine, which was like the little brother to the DMX. And you could put chips in it to give you different sounds. And one of the chips that I bought had the sounds of the drums from Beatbox.
Gotcha.
That Art of Noise did.
Got it.
And I decided to do another Christmas joint the following year using that sound. So I called it Santa's Beatbox.
Got it. Okay.
That's where that came from. But yeah, I did do a record with me doing the beatbox on it, but that wasn't the record.
Okay,
that didn't
gotcha.
come till later.
Okay, we'll get to that one later then. Okay, so the Christmas song, and correct me if I'm wrong, the B-side was Brooklyn's in the House. Yes.
Correct. That's correct.
Okay, Brooklyn's in the House. This is your record. This is the breakout for Cutmaster DC, if you would say this. This particular record maybe was the first record that truly represented Brooklyn at the time, maybe.
Yes. No, well, it's how you say, it to represent Brooklyn, yes. Matter of fact, the ironic part about it, it was the first record to represent any territory. If you trace back, there was no records out that bigged up the area before Brooklyn's in the House.
Right, because the Bridge, which represents that, and then South Bronx, that came out after, right?
That came out much after. Yeah, it came out after, like a year later.
Right. Okay. So talk to me about Brooklyn's in the House, because this particular record, it's your breakout record, and I believe that it inspired a lot of other Brooklyn artists, from Stetsonic to, fast forward to Biggie to Jay-Z. I mean, the famous Brooklyn's in the House. Talk to me about this record, making the record, and the impact that it had on your career.
Wow. Okay. First, what's so funny again, Brooklyn's in the House, I wouldn't say it was an accident, but almost wasn't. Well, how Brooklyn in the House came to be, I was living in Harlem at the time of this record, and there was a club called Joe Grant's, very popular club on 110th Street, near 7th Avenue, I think it is, if I'm not mistaken, 7th or 8th Avenue. No, not 8th Avenue, I think it's 7th Avenue. But anyway, a lot of the cats now, legends now, used to come through there. Jeff, Dougie Fresh, Slick Rick. It was like a real popular hangout spot. It was like the small Latin quarters of Harlem. You know what I mean? They all hung out there. And I came through a couple times, and one of the times I came through, they played my record, You Don't Really Want to Battle, and what have you. And the guy, he played it, the DJ there, played it, bigs up to him. He played it, and I got on the mic, and I did my little survey like I usually do, seeing who's in the building. I said Queens, Billy Hair sound, mentioned Staten Island, more like cricket. Say Harlem, of course, you got people in there. But then when I said Brooklyn, it was like, it sounded like we was in Brooklyn. Like there was more people from Brooklyn than the people that was there in Harlem. So what I did was I had put myself on the spot unawareingly at that time, and I said, okay, I'm Cutmaster DC. You heard my record. You don't really want to battle. How would y'all like if I made my next record about Brooklyn? It was like, yay! I was like, all right, coming from me to you, Cutmaster DC's next record is going to be about Brooklyn. Why did I do that?
Okay.
I left, went home, didn't think about it that night. Went to sleep, showered, got up, whatever. And then now I'm thinking, what I just did the night before. And I'm like, oh man, because I got to go in the studio in 3 weeks, 2-3 weeks. And I had no idea of what I was going to do. I didn't have a beat, didn't have a concept, didn't have a rhyme, nothing. So I had to come up with a record literally in 3 weeks to do it. Beat and everything. Yeah. So I put myself on the spot big time. But, like I said, I've been writing poetry since I was 7. So to come up to write, once I come up with a concept to write it, I could do it within an hour, 2 hours. The only thing that I had to, because I'm so meticulous about my music and my production, that's the only thing that worried me the most was the beat, doing the music. That was the only thing that, was like, I got to do something, like, got to make this right. But the Brooklyn in the House, the title was easy. Brooklyn's in the House. When I made that little announcement, that's who was in the house, Brooklyn. So that came easy. Now I just had to, do the rhyme around it. And I was very, it was very strategic on what I was going to do, because Brooklyn has such a bad reputation, where people don't come to Brooklyn because they feel that they're going to get mugged or robbed or something bad's going to happen. You know what I mean? Right. And so I wanted the record to reflect just the opposite. That's the reason why they make that record more about, you can't mess with us because blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? Even though, we got heart, we don't play, but at the same time, that's not what we're about. You know what I'm saying? When we come out to party, we literally come out to party. Those of us who come out to party, don't get me wrong, they might have some of those who come out to like find some vicks, but that's all over. I mean, people do it, period. They don't have to be from Brooklyn. They can be from any poverty-stricken area, and they're gonna come out and look for somebody to get. So that has nothing to do with territory. I just didn't like the idea that Brooklyn was only labeled as being, ruthless and gangster. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
we don't know how to have fun without starting trouble. And ironically, to me, in my opinion, from what I've seen in my experience, most of the trouble started when you approach us in a disrespectful manner, thinking that, hey, look, you ain't gonna get lit. We don't. You know what I'm saying? Let us have our fun. You have fun, we have fun, but don't like raise it a level that you don't really want to raise it to. So that's all that was about. And I wanted my record to reflect that. We come to have fun. We come to party. Leave it that way. And if you listen to the lyrics of my record, that's what all I'm saying in the record.
Wow. Okay.
We had to have fun.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well,
but that's how I came into play.
Got you.
Now, the history afterwards behind that, when I came back to the label with that record, they were pissed because they thought that only people from Brooklyn were going to like that record. But I couldn't go back in because now here it is, we're in October. They wanted to release the record for Christmas.
Right. And this was the B-side. Right.
Yeah, so I can't go back in to do another record. There's no time. You understand what I'm saying?
I do. You gotta have set up time. They gotta press the record up to have it ready for a Christmas release. Absolutely.
Exactly. But when the record took off, that was it. They couldn't say nothing to me.
So Brooklyn's in the house. You got the deep. When you say it, you say the hook deep. You got the hard drums. You got the fun, your voice. You got the fun style of the way you rhyme. It was just a cool record, and I'm sure when you made it, you had no idea it was going to inspire so much moving forward.
Oh no,
you know what I mean?
Not even close. Not even close. Not at all. I had not even close.
Right.
Even close.
So then after Brooklyn's in the house came Brooklyn Rocks the Best, correct? And then you had We Come to Rock with the beatboxing and all of that. So talk to me really quickly about a few records that came after Brooklyn's in the house. Okay,
the Brooklyn Rocks the Best. That I guess it's just a spinoff of Brooklyn's in the house, and kind of like an answer to the South Bronx, so to speak, without an answer. It didn't really have anything to do with that, but I had actually had Teddy Ted and Red Alert in the studio with me when I did it, and they was talking about all the stuff that's out there, and I'm like, yeah, okay, everything what you just now said is cool, but Brooklyn Rocks the best.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So that was the concept behind that. It was just that, as far as I was concerned, and again, it's just about me having pride and just me loving where I'm from and representing where I'm from and be like, hey, look, y'all do it too, but we do it better. And I feel there's nothing wrong with that, I didn't find anything wrong with it, so I didn't mind publicizing that fact,
gotcha.
Or my opinion on that. I put it that way,
Okay.
So,
and we Come to Rock, you're beatboxing on this record, right? So we're talking 1986-ish at this point, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
We Came to Rock, you're beatboxing. Where did that come from?
The beatboxing came from me just, minor aspirations to do it when a friend of mine, actually a beatboxer who I knew, he he was phenomenal, If anything, I should have had him on there doing it, but he was already signed to a label, so I couldn't do it. But I just liked it. I just liked it, and so I practiced. He taught me a couple tricks and what have you, and I liked it. So I just decided to go ahead and do it. Now there were some MCs I met at a radio show, and that I took on to try to help them with their career, and they're the ones that actually rhyming or call a choice MCs, so they're the ones that's actually rhyming on the record. So it was a good experience working with them.
Cool.
Yeah. So, but that's how I came. It was just, and I say minor aspirations because, I never took it, and neither my MCing nor my beatboxing, especially my beatboxing, did I take as serious as I did my DJing. So it wasn't like, I was practicing every day trying to beatbox. I practiced enough, to be, say I could call myself a beatbox. That I could beatbox. I wouldn't say I call myself a beatbox. I said that I could do it, but I didn't take it. I really didn't have any aspirations to go any further with it, other than enough to, hey, I did it. Did it. Okay, I'm done with it.
Yeah. You
know what I mean?
Yeah, you made the record. No doubt. Okay.
I did. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, all right. So here we go. So 1979, you make funk rap. 1983, that's Life. And then, then you go into making, You Don't Really Want to Battle. Brooklyn's in the House is the breakout record for Cutmaster DC. Okay. And then you make Brooklyn Rocks the Best. We Came to Rock and a few other records in the 80s, right? Okay.
Yeah, some producing. I did King's Son's first record.
Okay.
Yeah, I did some production. Just started producing other people for a little bit. And then after that, kind of like went into semi-retirement.
Well, let's talk about the 90s, though, because I understand you did some things with Raucous Records.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Right. So
I almost forgot about that.
in 95, I believe you were an engineer at Raucous Records. You released some records, some breakbeat records, Horse with No Name. Talk to me a little bit about the 90s with Raucous Records.
Okay. I was actually one of the house engineers at Power Play Studios in Long Island City, the famous Power Play Studios, where everybody, yeah. So
yeah, I know about it. I've been there. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So one of the clients that I was engineering for mentioned Raucous Records and said they needed an engineer, and would I mind going up to talking with them? So I was like, sure. And so when I went up there, they knew of me, they knew who I was and everything, and they brought me into their studio. And to kind of like give them a little rough mix or something or whatever, I guess, to see if I knew what I was doing, which I could respect. And then, they hired me to be their engineer for their artist. And as a result of that, I guess my rapport with them, they became interested in me actually doing something on their label. And so that's how the Horse with No Name and me doing some break beats for them, came into play. I signed a contract with them, and I did that and did those particular records for them.
Wow. Okay. So as an artist, because I want to get back to you as a DJ now, but as an artist, you started making records in '79, all the way through the mid '90s, '95 or whatnot. So Raucous Records,
No, I won't say all the way through. No, there was a gap between 86 and 95. I didn't do a record between 86 and 95 at all.
Okay, got you. I'm assuming that that's when you you went back into, making records as an artist. So I'm assuming the gap was the next thing I want to talk about, and that's you as a DJ. So now let's talk about you as a DJ. You're a famous battle DJ. You battled and competed in a new music seminar, and I believe the DMC, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. Yes. This was all in '86.
Okay. So I want you to talk to me about your DJ battle style. Here's why. So I understand you're famous for using basketballs, chopsticks, bicycles, sneakers, 3 turntables, all of these tricks as a turntablist. Talk to me about your style and why you decided to, do all of these things in your routines.
One of the things that I learned and that I admired, and again, this comes going back to some of the DJs, some of my peers, like DJ Lance, Master D, Frankie D, Disco Twins, and a score of others that also, threw their hat into the ring, to battle, is everybody had their own niche, why they stood out, why you went to see these guys play, And to me, just cutting and scratching, to me, everybody did it. You know what I mean? Everybody, could cut and scratch, The scratches we did, you know what I mean? So why would you come see Cutmaster DC or root for Cutmaster DC over these guys? We have to add another element of some sort. We have to think of something, maybe, whatever that is, whatever that something is. You know, maybe it's your sound system, which a lot of DJs won just because you couldn't hear the other DJ. You know,
Right.
You know what I mean? Oh, the sound system was crazy. Give it to him. You know, which I didn't. Obviously, when, like I mentioned earlier in the interview, I didn't have a sound system. So I had to come up with something. What would amaze me? What would I be like, oh, wow. And that's how I came up with the object. Actually making things an extension of my hand, doing different tricks, playing behind my back, or, you know, whatever. You know, but that's where the object came into play. Because what I come to find that the one object that I demonstrated playing that would intrigue people the most, or like the most, even over the bike, believe it or not, was the basketball. And my hands are big, so I could palm a ball with both my hands. So I can control the ball so that it doesn't hit the table. And my hands was light anyway. I was light because the turntables that I learned to play off of was D1s, and they was terrible when it comes to skipping. So you had to be light to scratch on them.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So I already had a light touch already. So for me to be able to transition that to an object wasn't that hard, as long as I can maintain control of the object. So that's the key. It's not even a trick. It's just a skill. It's actually a skill. It's not a trick. I'm cutting with the basketball. The basketball is no trick. It's actual basketball I'm cutting with. So it's not a trick. It's a skill. And anybody who is interested in doing that or obtaining that skill, all it is just a matter of having control over the ball and making it an extension of your hand or your arm or what have you. But that's what got me into doing it, is acquiring a skill that nobody at that particular time had acquired and making myself stand out, so that, you know, that's why you'll come see me in addition to seeing him. It wasn't so much of me trying to be better than the next DJ, because one of the things that I've learned through life is that when you're watching the next man, it's hard to me personally, watching the next man will not get me to a point where I wouldn't say over or better. I don't like to refer to myself as being better, but where my skill level will be different or higher than that man if I'm just watching him. I got to come up with my own skill level. I got to come up with my own threshold. I got to come up with my own bar. You know what I mean? If I just settle for the bar of the people that I'm watching, I will never be more than the people that I'm watching.
Got you. Okay.
So, you understand what I'm saying? So that's where it came from.
Absolutely. So you became famous, you know, or known
for that.
Yeah, for that. For all, you know, if it was crutches, if it was a basketball or a bike or chopsticks, it was like incorporating these things and cutting with them, you know. So that was dope. Okay. So talk to me about the famous battle between Cutmaster DC and DJ Jazzy Jeff.
Well, I think, not to take anything away from Jeff, because Jeff did his thing, you know, I think that, it was a lesson learned for me, and I'll explain. I think that I didn't do enough. You know, I at that point, I think I was relying too much on what people have already seen from me.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying? So I didn't do enough, which rightfully so gave Jeff the thumbs up in that particular battle. And the same thing happened with, you know, the other battles in the DMC.
Right.
And that's what made me decide to raise my skill level on the scratching, from a scratching aspect, more so than from me doing, more so than just the objects.
Gotcha.
If that makes sense to you. It was a fantastic battle. It was a fantastic battle. It was from what I found out later on, it was an anticipated battle because of, you know, who Jeff was and what he was able to do. And of course, who I was and what I was able to do. But, again, you know, people pretty much by that time have already seen a lot of what I did. So I didn't really bring anything. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They haven't really, and they didn't see Jeff. They heard Jeff, but they didn't see Jeff. So Jeff brought more to the table than I did at that particular time that people didn't see. So he took that battle rightfully so. And my respect and hands goes out to him. Because like I said, there's a lesson learned. You know, you learn from your experiences. I don't never take an experience, you know, regardless of what its outcome is, and not let it be a learning lesson and not, you know, I'll grow from it. You know, you understand what I'm saying? Even if I won that battle, I'll be like, okay, how did I win? Now let me improve that skill. You know what I mean?
Right.
No matter
Absolutely. Well,
Yeah,
Jazzy.
so much respect.
Absolutely, Jazzy Jeff is a legendary DJ as well, and so that was an iconic battle between Cutmaster DC and DJ Jazzy Jeff. That was the New Music Seminar in 1986, right?
Yeah, 86. Yes, I think it was 86. Yes, it was. 86.
Okay, all right. So
That's correct.
So now talk to me about the next battle. Now, again, I'm bringing up these two battles because these are two, I would say groundbreaking battles for Cutmaster DC. Talk to me about.
No, actually, you're missing one battle.
Okay.
I had a World Supremacy battle in Chicago.
Okay.
And I had a battle with DJ Cheese in Canada, to which both of them I won.
Wow, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah,
Nice.
Don't let me just bring. Like I said, I'm not going to just keep losing. That ain't good. I did say I learned from these things, didn't I?
You definitely did. Okay. So now, all right.
But anyway, let's talk about the battle, the new music seminar. It was the same thing. This wasn't.
Well, no, hold on.
Okay.
Hold on. Okay,
Yeah.
so Jazzy Jeff, 1986. So,
Right.
who was the DJ? Who was the other battle? Because I want to highlight all of them. Okay, so Jazzy Jeff.
Oh yeah.
New Music Seminar, 1986. What was the next two?
Right. The next one was Joe Cooley at I think that was the DMC.
Okay, so that was my next question. I wanted you to, talk about Joe Cooley, but okay, so go ahead and talk about the Joe Cooley battle, and then I want you to talk to me about DJ Cheese a little bit, and then the other one, because I do want to talk about and highlight your battle career. Okay. Go ahead.
Okay. With the Joe Cooley battle, suffered from the same thing that Jazzy Jeff battle suffered, because we were talking months apart. So, meaning that. Again, everybody saw pretty much of what it is that I did. You know what I mean?
Right.
And,
okay.
Right. So the objects was no longer like, whoa, wow, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So what I got hit with, what the reality check for me was, okay, now, you got to raise the bar on your scratches. You understand what I'm saying? So, and that's what they brought to the table, and at that particular time, I still was relying too much on the objects. So I didn't do enough of a routine that displayed my scratching ability outside of the object. So right again, hands off, Joe Cooley did his thing, and that's all she could roll. I can't see, you know what? The thing is with me, I don't know about anybody else, I can't be upset at anybody who does what they do and take it to a level that unfortunately I make a decision not to do. You understand what I'm saying? For whatever reason. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
He came to the table, he came to the battle, did what he had to do, and as a result, he won. You know what I mean? So
okay,
that's it.
So you lost the battle against Jazzy Jeff and Joe Cooley. Now talk to me about the ones that you won.
Okay, I made it my point that those things was not happening again. So I went back to the lab.
Got you.
I went back to the lab, and I started incorporating more of my scratches than the objects, and doing routines that demonstrated more of my scratching ability and what have you. And then kind of like also studying, with the case of Cheese, I was able to, because I knew how I was battling. But pretty much like, setting everything up for the battle. You know what I mean?
Right.
But more importantly was adding my scratches to my routine.
Okay.
And that's what won me the DJ Cheese battle in Canada that I did, and the battle in for Supremacy in Chicago that I was battling their DJs out there. That's what won me those two battles, and the ones after that, and all the battles after that, because that Joe Cooley was the last battle I lost. I ain't had that many, but that was the last battle I lost.
Got you. So some of the notable names, Joe Cooley, Jazzy Jeff, DJ Cheese, are some of the notable DJs that you battled in either the DMC or the New Music Seminar, correct?
Correct.
And this is 86, 87-ish, right?
86, 87-ish, correct.
Got you. So I would assume that you just eventually stopped competing as a DJ. Is that, kind of what happened?
Well, actually, what happened was that I I can't say discouraged. I just got kind of tired of the business, period. And I kind of like just fell back.
Okay.
Got you. And I just started doing other things, other things in regards to, I still did music. I still DJ'd. I still did my music, but I wasn't out in the public eye anymore because there's just too much things going on that I didn't really appreciate that was going on. And I kind of like, wanted to walk away from anything having to do with the business.
Got you.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
So I just did things primarily, on the back end.
Got you.
On the back end. I just stayed out
Okay. So
Cutmaster DC stayed out.
Got you. So I want to recap just a little bit here. Okay. So over all these decades, so in the 70s, you made your first record, funk rap, under the name Hakim, right? Mm-hmm. And then
Ikem.
Well, yeah, right.
Yes, so people, if anybody listening wants to look it up, they're going to have to look up Ikem and Bacardi. IKIM, not HAKIM. I spelled my name HAKIM, but they spelled it wrong. They misspelled it.
Got it. You're a DJ and you're a rapper, right? You get into beatboxing.
No, I would hold no claim to being a rapper, and because to me that would be disrespecting those who are rappers, like Grandmaster Caz, Mo D, and people of that nature, and Busta Rhymes, and those are rappers.
Well,
you know what I mean? I'm a DJ who can rap.
Got it. Okay.
There's a skill level. You know what I mean? That I will not disrespect.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So let's just say you were an artist. You were a DJ. You started making records, and you were rhyming on the records, and some of them were self-produced, and some of them were not. And you put out the breakout record for you, Brooklyn's in the House. Okay. Yeah. You're a battle DJ. Jazzy Jeff, Joe Cooley, DJ Cheese, and many more DMC DJ battles, New Music Seminar DJ battles. Dope turntablist. Okay. Now let's add something else now to the mix. Tell me who is DJ Hakim, and talk to me about 26 years of doing mixtapes.
Okay. DJ Hakim came about, again, not as so much an accident, but as a result of an indecisive moment regarding, I wanted to do music. I've never stopped DJing. Okay. Even though I may not have been in the public eye as Cutmaster DC, people knowing me, doing whatever I do. Cause like I said, I got tired of the whole industry thing at one point that, I just did what I did. And, notoriety never was, my whole purpose of doing music to begin with. It's just the fact that I like doing music and I like playing for people, regardless of, whatever fame or whatever come in part of it. That never was my motivation. My motivation has always been just the joy of listening to music, playing music, and people enjoying what I played or the music that I made. But I got kind of tired of the record industry scene or that particular scene at that particular time. So, but I still played. And one of the things that I took to notice, what happened was I was DJing at a club for a friend of mine who went on vacation. It's a spot in the village. And I was DJing at this small club. And one of the bouncers actually asked me to make a mixed CD for them, and they were paying me. And so, which wasn't a lot. It was like $10 or whatever, but I started adding the numbers up. I was like, oh, okay. And then a couple of them more wanted to make, I was like, this was easy. So that's what got me actually into making the mixed CDs to begin with, was actually selling it to the people at that club at the time that I was playing there for the few weeks I was playing there. And I took it a step further later on. About 6 or 7 months later, I run into a young man, just by happenstance. He was selling CDs outside, and I told him that I had some CDs. If people wanted to buy them to sell, I'll give them a wholesale price. And this young man took me to Broadway, where they did all the mixtapes, where people come to buy the mixtape, the bootlegs, and whatever.
Right.
And and that's where the CDs came into play for me. Now, how DJ Hakim came into play with that was I had a friend of mine who I wanted to make CDs with me, rest in peace, his name DJ IC from Brevoort Projects. Very good brother, very good friend, excellent DJ. And I wanted him to make CDs with me, do mixtapes with me. And he was like, you know, his thing was, you Cutmaster DC, you know, they're going to buy your CD anyway because you Cutmaster DC. And I was trying to explain to him, like, you know, it's not the name. I mean, if your work is good, if people like what you're doing and like what you're playing, they're going to buy the CD anyway. You know what I mean? You know, you make the name. You know, you know what I mean? The CD or that doesn't have anything to do with it. And so I said, I could pick a name, the most corniest name in the world, and I bet you, if you know, I play on this CD and I do it right, people gonna still buy the CD. And I said, you don't believe me? He said, nah, I don't believe you. I said, nah, you're in the cheat. He said, you're gonna use Cutmaster DC. I said, all right, watch. I'm gonna do DJ Hakim. Now, how corny can that be? And he was like, no, you're not. I said, yes, I am. I'm gonna make my mixtapes DJ Hakim. So my first tape, I was still a little undecisive. That's why the very first mixtape I did, if anybody had the Reggae Dance Hall CD that I did, Volume 1, you'll see I mentioned DJ Hakim and Cutmaster DC because I was indecisive at the time. Mm-hmm. But then when I had that conversation with my friend, I decided to go straight DJ Hakim. And my next CD that I made, which was a house CD, at that time the name of the CD was called Club Dance Volume 1, which got changed. Now it's called House Classics Volume 1. That became my second CD, and it's all DJ Hakim. And every CD since then has been all DJ Hakim. And it's just my love for music. It's my love to make, to DJ, to play, and just to, you know, just, I guess you could say, hear the expression or, you know, of people that heard my tapes, that like it, that enjoy it, that appreciate, you know, my playing style and the way I play. So that's what got me into doing it. And I did that, you know, from that point, like, as you said, 26 years.
Wow.
26 years.
So you just decided to go under a completely different name and do these mixtapes, and it worked. And
well, you know what? Not to cut you off, you know, and this may sound arrogant, but anybody who could tell you that has a certain skill set, they will share in what I'm about to say. When you're blessed and you know what you're doing and you know you can do it, it's an easy decision to make. It's just a matter of just doing it. You know, you understand what I'm saying?
Sure, absolutely.
It's like what I told my friend, you know, the name didn't matter. It could have been DJ Bubblehead. And the CD wasn't going to sell because it's DJ Bubblehead. The CD was going to sell because of the content.
Okay.
I had confidence of the content. You understand what I'm saying?
I do.
DJ Hakim, yeah. So that's where that was. But it became, like I said, I decided to do DJ Hakim because I was proving a point to my friend, and then also what I thought, but I didn't realize it didn't matter at the time. But what I thought was that if I did it also under Cutmaster DC, and I wasn't doing no scratching or cutting, the people might have got disappointed because all those CDs are all blends, are all smooth transitions to the highest level.
Right, I got you.
You understand what I'm saying?
Sure,
sure. So I think, yeah, I didn't want to disappoint. I didn't want to disappoint the people who know of my skill level as a turntablist and scratching ability to be disappointed hearing all mixes.
Gotcha.
That's another reason why I went that, you know. But it was an era that I didn't find out till later because there was a DJ that I knew who was a straight out reggae DJ. Didn't know of him doing anything else other than reggae, and he turned out to be one of the most fantastic house DJs I've ever heard. So I was like, oh well, so much for that theory.
Right. Okay. But however, I mean, Cutmaster DC, aka DJ Hakim, 26 years of doing mixtapes under an alias, and most people probably don't even know that it's the same person, which is, you know, it's incredible. So obviously, you know, again, you go from the Parks, Brooklyn in the 70s to a recording artist making records with a breakout record like Brooklyn's in the House, right? That inspiration still lasts to this day. battle DJ. You know, you made your imprint on that. Your Cutmaster DC, the tricks, the famous battles, and then 26 years of mixtapes under DJ Hakim. Okay, so what keeps you busy in 2022?
Whoa. Actually, also in between all of that, I build and repair computer systems. I've been a techie pretty much all my life. Which is another side. Which is another side of me that very few people know about. All the computers that I use in my studio are computers that I built, including my Macs. They're hybrid, and so between that, still doing production, still doing music, still producing music, still DJing. I just recently got into doing video production, just for the sole purpose of being able to do content. I want to actually start teaching people, having Zoom classes and what have you, and doing tutorials for YouTube to teach people, how to do some of the things that I do. You know what I mean? And, to rid them of the myths of certain things that they, that are said that are not able to be done because you don't have a certain budget. You know what I mean? And show them different ways of how to get things done. You know what I mean? And just kind of like give back to what, unselfish people have given to me. There's a lot of people, my skill and my ability that I have right now that I've been blessed with didn't come, just fell out the sky. There was people that the Creator introduced me to that to help, harness this skill. You know what I mean?
Right.
I have a lot of people to thank, for this,
Gotcha.
And even this day I have friends, but what keeps me busy is that right there,
Right.
Just my involvement still in music, my involvement still in DJing, my involvement in thirst, to actually, have people, enjoy, some of the things that I do still in regards to me making CDs and doing mixtapes and doing records, because I'm actually in the studio now working on projects. That keeps me quite busy. Trust me.
Right. Well, I was going to ask you, do you have any new projects coming out that you're working on?
Yeah, I have a few. None that I could really mention right now because I'm not actually. I haven't pinpoint on what I haven't made a conscious decision on exactly what I'm going to actually do with them and how. That's why I don't really want to, But you will be one of the first to know. Okay. I promise you that. You know what I mean?
No
but
problem.
Yeah, I do have some things that I'm working on now that I'm very passionate about, and and I'm hoping to actually release by the end of the summer.
Got you. Okay, great. Well, we look forward to hearing it. So, question for you: you being a battle, you being a historical battle DJ. How, I don't know if you're in tune or follow the current culture of the battle DJ now, but technology was different then than it is now, and you implemented a whole lot of tricks and a whole lot of skill sets, and things to your routines then. How do you feel about the current battle DJ scene? Okay, there's
DJs out there. I don't know too much about the newest one. When I say the newest, I mean like the ones that might have came between like 2015 and now.
Okay.
I don't know too much about them. I've every now and then I go on YouTube and I'll watch some of the battles, And to be honest with you, I don't frown on some of the battles that take place. Some of them I'm like, and only because of the fact that I feel that there's too much technology in the battle, opposed to, actual natural skill, opposed to you pushing certain buttons and allowing certain things to take place. You know what I mean? That's the only frown I would have would be on those particular type of battles, but I know the reason for it and I understand it, But there are, as far as taking advantage of the technology, me, myself, I take advantage of it. I mean, I love the idea that I don't have to carry 50 crates of records. Well, I'll never carry 50, but like 8 or 9 crates of records.
Right.
I love that. You know what I mean? So I would definitely, in no shape or form, frown upon that. I carry more records to any right now in my pocket than I would ever carry anywhere. You know, I got a store worth of records in my pocket.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Due to that. So that's definitely great. But the skill level, I can't, you know, from 2015 to now, I don't know. I question a little bit only because of the technology and how much of the technology is used to aid in that. But when you got guys like, you know, Steve D, DJ Scratch, Boogie Blind, DJ Dummy, you know, these are all Q-Bert. These are all DJs and there's scores of others. Apologize if I haven't remembered your name, but these are some of my favorites.
Right.
You know, so that's why I remember them. And DJ Cash Money, you know, all these guys, and some of them even from my era, you know, including DJ Jazzy Jeff. But but let's move up front more, like with your Boogie Blinds and your DJ Dummies and your Q-Berts and what have you. These guys have taken the level, and you know, Steve B and what have you, and Scratch. They've taken DJing to a whole nother level.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
And to me, people who've contributed and have taken the DJing skills to a whole nother level, I think they deserve a break. You know what I mean?
Right.
So whatever it is that they decide to do from this point on, let them do it, because they deserve a break. All the stuff that they brought to the table and what they're still doing now to further, you know, the culture, hands off to them. I mean, you know, so I'm in awe, and I'm gonna say this one thing, you know, because I can get long-winded sometimes. I apologize, but I like what the DJs today do for me is that it's like how when I was telling you I used to watch the Disco Twins.
Yes.
And I used to try to do what two of them do, but just me, myself. Well, what they do is the things that they do using technology, I try to do not using the technology. So to me, they kind of like challenge me.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a challenge. You understand what I'm saying? Because I'm very much into just still harnessing and sharpening my tools and my skills.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. So the technology forced you to get your skill set better without the technology, which made you a better overall DJ, period, right?
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
So Cutmaster DC. So everything that you've done in the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, and even up until now, what is in the future for Cutmaster DC?
Wow. Well, you know what? This is what I would say. My future is being able to settle with my passion. My passion is my music and my computers, the technology. I mean, as far as, you know, me doing, you know, still building my systems, still DJing and teaching. That's my future, and that's my passion. That's what the future is for me. You know, it's not even so much, you know, and entertaining people. You know, I see myself still entertaining people through my music, whether as a DJ or my production. You know, that's what the future is for me. That's how I see myself for the rest of my days. That's my passion. That's what I love to do. I like to put a smile on a face of anybody, or see the smile of the face of somebody hearing, you know, a mix that I did or a record that I produced, and be like, wow, yeah, okay, I love that. I like that. That's my future. You know, people continue to enjoy my work.
Wonderful.
Putting out work that people could continue to enjoy.
Wonderful. Absolutely. Well, we look forward to any new projects or anything that you're involved with, you know, because I'm sure the future's bright, and I'm sure the projects are going to be dope, and it's going to be classic Cutmaster DC. So listen, before we get out of here,
yes, sir.
Is there any way that you can give me like one backstory, one untold story from your career as an artist, the records, the DJ battles, you know, whatever it is, just one untold story somebody might not know about Cutmaster DC? If not, it's okay. But I just like...
Well, no, I can give you, I just got to try to find something. I'm trying to think that might be of interest.
well, you know.
Wow, untold story. I honestly offhand can't really think.
Well, I mean, wow. I know that there was a lot of things that happened that we didn't talk about that happened from 1979, from your first record, all the way up until now, from you being a 26-year mixtape DJ Hakim, from the DJ battles, you know, how you prepared. I mean, okay, tell me this before we get out of here.
Okay.
How did you prepare for the DJ battles that you did, you know, partake in, either losing or winning? How did you prepare for those famous battles when you battled Jeff, you know, Cheese, Joe Cooley? How did you prepare for those moments before the battle?
Era numero uno. I never did.
Okay. So you never.
What I did, I'll explain. I'm gonna explain what it was. My thought pattern was what was so funny. And matter of fact, preparation for me didn't actually come until, for anything, even playing, until again, the brother by the name of DJ IC told me and explained to me this. And this is, matter of fact, this is something that nobody know about. I'm glad you asked that question, because there's a two-part answer to that question. Let's stick with let's do the first one with the battle. What I used to always do was just practice. Period. Just practice skills. Just practice my skills on whatever it is, whatever it might be. And then whatever came up, or whatever the situation was, I decided, okay, I'll go on skill number 3, or I'll do this, or I'll do that, and just put it all together, like right then and there. That's what I did. And I found out later that people literally used to prepare for battles. They used to have special records and stuff that they put together and what have you.
Right.
Didn't find that out until much later, because I never did that. I just did here's what I could do, and let me see which one should I hit them with. Should I pull out the bazooka? Should I pull out the handgun? Should I pull out the Uzi? That's basically what I did. You know, I didn't find out till later that was, you know, might have been an error in regards to how I approach, you know, about battles with certain people. You know what I mean?
Right.
Plain and simple. And there was but I never prepared for a battle. The only actual battle that I can say that I made some preparation, if you want to call it that, was with DJ Cheese, where I knew he had a record out. And so what I did was, I knew he had a record out, and I figured he would play that record. So I just made sure I had that record too and played it better than him.
Okay.
That was about the furthest of my preparation, which goes also, and that, unfortunately, that has actually, even though, you know, moving forward, you know, I wouldn't make that error again. But moving forward, even going to with DJ Hakim, I used to play the same way. I knew my records. Okay, I knew all my records and everything that I had. So I used to go on the vibe of the crowd. So I'd be like, okay, I'm looking at them. Okay, they vibing. Let me see what they want to hear now. And I just go search for my records and say, okay, they probably want to hear this. And I'll go search and I'll find that record. Then I'll go search and find that record. And, you know, I'll do the party like that. So my friend one day asked me, he's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, and this is DJ IC, and I said, no, I'm looking for a record to play. He says, why don't you already have it set up? I said, because I may have it set up, but that may not be the record they want to hear. So why am I set it up? He says, no, you don't understand. Have all your records that you know that are headbangers. Put them right here so you don't have to go look for them. I was like, oh, yeah, that would be better. And ever since then, I put together what would be referred to as segments for different, you know what I mean? Different points in time of a party. But I never did that prior to him mentioning that to me. I used to always just play, watch the crowd and play. Okay, they want to do that and play. But it did improve my timing because I didn't have to search for the record to play. You know what I mean? The record was right there. I still played the same way, played for the crowd, but now I'm going right there. And I played for like, oh my gosh, 30 years.
Right.
Without making, you know what I mean? But that's something probably people probably don't know.
Well, every DJ has their own way, their own style, and their own process, right? So, I just wondered, I was just curious to know how you prepared, for DJing, your gigs, how did you prepare for the battles? You know what I mean? Especially if it was a battle that you knew it was a component that was, an opponent that you knew that was known, or you knew that you may have some competition that day. You know what I mean?
Rip, let me say something to you. You didn't understand me when I told you about arrogant. You mentioned the word competition. Let me explain something to you. when I go in and I battle somebody, I'm not considering anybody being competition, regardless of their skill level.
Okay, I got you.
If I do, my thing is my biggest competitor or my biggest competition is myself. As long that's my biggest competition. I'm not going in there watching you and what you can do or whatever the case may be. It's like my skill level is whatever it is. If it's good enough to, get me through this battle as being number one, cool. If not, then that means I got to go work some more.
Right,
but it's not going to happen today. It's not going to happen today because whatever skill I don't have that I might need to beat you in that battle, it's not going to happen overnight.
Right, got you.
So unless I call off the battle and be like, I got to practice some more, well, I should have done that before. right. So, but that's just me. And like I said, the error that I made was not so much that I didn't have the skill to win those battles. It's the fact that I didn't use all the tools that I had in there to win those battles. Got you. You know, you understand what I'm saying?
Understood.
So I made sure that didn't happen again.
Understood.
You know what I mean?
Which is why you started, which is why the ones after the ones you lost, you won, right? No question.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. So Cutmaster DC, how can our listeners continue to follow you? Okay.
Soon I will be, because we had a pre-conversation before. Soon, I'm not really big on the social media, and I'm just starting to really get into it, and I'm planning on doing content I'm in the process really now of doing content for social media such as Instagram, Twitch, and Twitter, and Facebook. Well, I wouldn't say Twitter, but Twitch and Facebook and Instagram and what have you, maybe even Snapchat. But as of right now, I don't really, I'm busy now really trying to create content for those platforms. But those will be the platforms that they will be able to reach me by. Hopefully soon I'll have some, and I will post them up on each of those platforms where they'll be able to see me and enjoy my playing or, stuff that I put out or produce or what have you.
Wonderful.
Those are the platforms that I'll be doing it in.
Wonderful. There's always Google. Just Google Cutmaster DC and it'll all come up, right?
Oh, yeah, they can Google See, as far as my mixtapes is concerned, as far as my pre-release, the stuff that is already not pre-release. As far as my already released material, as far as my mix CDs, they can Google DJ Hakim, spelled DJ space Hakim. They can always Google that, and they can always Google Cutmaster DC, and they can hear some of the stuff that I've done before, and hopefully soon they'll be able to hear some of the new stuff that I have. By also Googling the same thing or in those platforms that I just mentioned.
Wonderful. Well, Cutmaster DC, it's been an absolute pleasure interviewing you. You allowing me, to peel back the layers of how it all started. For Cutmaster DC, I want to thank you for everything that you've done for the DJ culture, the phenomenal, battles, right? The mixtapes, and those breakthrough records. Brooklyn's in the house, changed things for you, and it also inspired so many more to come. You know what I mean? And I just want to thank you for the opportunity. And you have been listening to Vinyl Esquire, the DJ podcast that uplifts the DJ culture and honors our legends. And you have been listening to the legendary artist, DJ Cutmaster DC.
Hello world, I want to welcome you to Vinyl Esquire, the podcast that delivers culture, truth, music.
All right, we'd like to introduce our next two DJ contestants right behind me on the turntables from Esquire Records, known as the Wizard of the Gimmicks. You're going to see it all tonight. Prepare for a good show from Brooklyn's in the house and Cutmaster DC.
All the way from Los Angeles, California, KJ's own DJ Joe Cooley.
All right, Joe, whenever you're ready, go to it. Cutmaster DC.